Watching the Young Thug Trial live today, September 16th, 2024, Monday. There's food in my mouth. See if the prosecution does any better today than in previous days, losing all faith. In this case, they are trying to build. What do you guys think? Is the case really strong or not?
Thank you. I hope y'all had a pleasant lunch. And the state has got their next witness in here. Let's go ahead and swear this witness.
Raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony to give the truth, state your name. Have seat, state your name loud for courts.
All right.
First and last, expect.
All right. Officer Hill, Sean, S-E-A-N. Last name is Hill, H-I-L-L.
Good afternoon, Officer Hill. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well.
All right.
Can you tell the jury how long you've worked with Atlanta Police Department?
Yes, sir. I've been an officer for a little over 12 years.
What year was it that you graduated the academy?
2013.
And how did you end up working for APD?
Long story short, I was military and I came into wanted to do law enforcement after I got out of the military.
What branch were you in?
Marine Corps.
And was it through a connection in the Marine Corps that you ended up working for APD?
Yes, sir. One of my coworkers in the Marine Corps came to APD when he got out, and he recruited me to the department.
What did you do in the Marine Corps?
Uh,
Your Honor, it's foundational. Jury has to determine Officer Hill's credibility as a witness.
Sustained. I mean,
That was quick.
Overruled. You can go ahead and just briefly review it. We don't.
Yes, Your Honor.
As relevant
okay.
to his position as police officer now.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll ask more pertinent questions, Your Honor, and relating to that. Officer Hill, what skills did you learn in the Marine Corps that help you as an officer with the Atlanta Police Department?
I learned valuable skills, patience. I learned a lot of stuff in the Marine Corps.
And what, in non-military terms, what was your job? What did you do?
I was a communication operator, radio guy.
Now, Officer Hill, what zone do you work in currently?
Zone 1.
And are you a patrol officer?
Yes, sir.
How long
Officer
have you
Hill.
worked in Zone 1?
Officer Hill.
My entire time as an officer for 12 years.
Now, how many beats are in Zone 1?
It is 14 beats.
And how many of those 14 have you worked?
Every last one of them.
And are you assigned currently to a specific beat or all of Zone 1?
Pacific beat in Zone 1.
And which one is that?
113.
Okay. Now, are you currently post-certified?
Yes, sir.
And Officer Hill, were you post-certified on the night of April 27th going into April 28th of 2015?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe for the jury briefly, what type of cases you have handled working in Zone 1 over these 12 years?
Yes, sir. Anything from domestic violence to break-ins, car break-ins, burglaries, people being shot, damage to property. So anything you can think of, it happens in Zone 1.
And throughout the 12 years of working in Zone 1, have you got familiar with the neighborhoods in the different beats within that zone?
Yes, sir.
So I want to turn back to April 27th going into April 28th of 2015. What beat were you working back then?
That was 110.
And what precinct, or what's the precinct location for beat 110?
It's off of Dunley Hollowell Parkway.
How close, or what's the address on Dunley Hollowell Parkway for that?
Precinct is 2315.
And are you familiar with Club Crucial?
Yes, sir.
How close is Club Crucial to that precinct that you were working that night?
Maybe like a couple 100 yards.
Now, what time or what was your shift, or were you working that day? April?
Yes, sir. I was working that day, and my shift was at 10 p.m. that night to 7 in the morning the next day.
So you would start 10 p.m. April 27th, going till 6 a.m. April 28th?
Yes, sir.
Now, were you
Where you
in
watching
uniform?
from?
Yes.
And would you have had a patrol car?
Yes.
And back then, did you ever have a partner, or were you working your
No,
single patrol car?
just solo.
Okay. Now, coming on shift that night, do you remember ever responding to any calls that stood out?
Yeah, we had a shots fired call and I think a fight call at Crow Crucial that night towards the beginning and middle of the shift.
Ballpark, rough ballpark, do you remember around what time that would have been?
Between 12 and 1 in the morning.
And did you respond to that call?
Yes, sir.
Did other officers respond?
Yes, a lot.
Now, when you're responding to Club Crucial, have you responded there before in the past?
Yes.
And what were you responding to on the night of April 27th going into April 28th? What type of call was it?
We had shots fired in the area, and we had large group of people fighting. That's what the call came in as.
And how extensive was your involvement with that Club Crucial call midway through your shift?
That night, my job was basically just to get everybody out safely. So I was out trying to get clear the parking lot and get everybody on the road.
Now, after responding to Club Crucial, did that impact how the rest of your shift would go?
Usually when we have incidents that happen at Crucial, they carry over into the neighborhood. So yes, we were on alert that night due to the shots fired in the fight that happened at Club Crucial.
Now, Officer Hill, after you responded to, or let me ask you this, that night, because you were in beat 10, would you show up on, or would you be 1110 on a CAD report if you were working beat 10 in zone 1?
Yes.
And would other officers you said that there was 14 beats in zone 1,
Mm-hmm.
would it be reflective of 1 through 14?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after you responded to Club Crucial, did you ever have the opportunity to go to 1903 Drew Drive?
Yes. I responded to a call at 1903 Drew Drive later that morning, like around about 5 that morning.
After you'd responded to Club Crucial?
Yes.
Now, what area had you been to Drew Drive in that area before?
Yes.
And by this point, it'd be April 28th, 5 in the morning, about around that time when you responded to Drew Drive?
Yes, sir.
Back then, in April 28th of 2015, how would you describe that area that Drew Drive is within your beat?
It was a quiet area, nice, fairly new, renovated. So we didn't really get too many calls in that area.
What type of calls had you responded to in that area when you responded that morning?
Because
Your Honor, it's setting a background for Officer Hill's familiarity with his specific beat that night of the shooting.
Sustained.
Now, Officer Hill, when you responded to Drew Drive, how far was it from your precinct?
it's like a 5-minute drive.
How far is that from Club Crucial?
Same, about 5 minutes.
Now, when you got there, were you at a house, a residence, an apartment? What was there when you arrived?
It's both, but the actual 1903 is apartment complex.
And when you got there, was it light out or dark out when you first got there?
No, it was dark.
And I wanted to, or let me ask you this. When you first got there, who did you see or encounter?
The caller, Miss Battle.
Okay. And was there anyone else other than Miss Battle that you interacted with when you first got on scene?
Not initially.
Now, Officer Hill, without mentioning what she told you, what was...
And I'm also gonna, I don't know, we haven't talked about this before, but please just refer to her by her last name, okay?
Okay.
And I don't know that you've done anything other than that, but
Yes, Your Honor.
okay.
Officer Hill, without stating what Miss Battle told you, what was her demeanor when you encountered her?
She seemed like she was frightened, scared.
And did you talk with her outside or inside that apartment, if you remember?
I don't remember that at the moment. at this moment.
That's all right. Now, after speaking with her, did you go anywhere within that apartment complex?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went to her. Well, the call. Her apartment was damaged from a rear balcony. So when I entered the apartment, I went to the direction of the rear balcony. She pointed out where her damages were, and we was like in the living room area of by the balcony.
And was her apartment, was it on the first floor, second floor? Or...
First floor.
Now, did you know before speaking with Miss Battle what kind of call you were responding to initially?
Yes.
What kind of call was that?
It was a shots fired call.
Now, Officer Hill, I want to approach you with what's been marked as State's Exhibits 3 Lima Lima through 64 Lima Lima. Now, Officer Hill, if you can, do me a favor and flip through from 3 Lima Lima through 64 Lima Lima. And when you're done, just look up at me.
Yes, sir.
What are those? 3
Just
through 64.
photos of the damaged property and some of the shell casings that we recovered from the scene.
Are they a fair and accurate of the photographs in the scene that you responded to on April 28, 2015?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to admit into evidence State's Exhibits 3 through 64, Lima, Lima.
They're admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Officer Hill, I want to start with 3 through 12, Lima, Lima. What apartment was Miss Battle's apartment? After speaking with her, you said you went inside. What apartment was it that you all went to?
Apartment 1122.
And so I want to publish State's Exhibit 3, Lima, Lima first. Now, Officer Hill, you had said she was on the first floor, apartment 1122,
Yeah, yes, sir.
and turning to 4 Lima Lima. Is this 1122 the apartment you went to with Miss Battle that night?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you describe for the jury what did you see when you went inside? I'm going to publish 5 Lima Lima, or I'll take a step back. When you had first mentioned her back porch.
Mm-hmm.
What was the damage that you noticed, if any, on Miss Battle's apartment porch?
You can tell that her back door was damaged, had glass shatter throughout the door. So when I went in, she pointed me into the direction, and I was able to see where the bullet made entry. And I just traced the direction and noticed that it went through her couch as well.
I'm going to walk through a couple of these photographs with you, Officer Hill.
Okay.
Publishing 7 Lima Lima, can you orient for the jury? Do you see the damage you had just referenced in 7 Lima Lima?
Oh, yes, sir.
And where is it?
It's towards the bottom of the door or glass.
Is it where that blind is?
Damaged it. Yes, sir.
And once you trace that, can you show the jury on publishing 8 Lima Lima where that bullet?
Yeah. So the bullet, when it made entry to the door or the glass, it went directly to the couch cushion, like where the armrest is at, and it went through the pillows.
I'm going to publish 9 Lima Lima. Is 9 Lima Lima, is that the inside of Miss Battle's apartment door, 1122?
Yes.
And 10 Lima Lima, can you describe for the jury, is this the couch that you were just discussing with them about the bullet hole?
Yes, sir.
And 11 Lima Lima, where did you notice the damage in Miss Battle's couch in 11 Lima Lima?
Right at the bottom part of the arm cushion. Yeah, that's where the bullet went through.
And 12 Lima Lima, do you see any debris or that you saw that night in Miss Battle's apartment?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury where that is?
It's right in between on the bottom right of the pillow, in between the green and red circles.
You direct my mouse, or you tell me, you talking about towards the right of where that clicker is?
Yes.
Now, was anyone else in the apartment with Miss Battle when you were walking through with her to see the damage?
Not that I seen, though.
Did you ever become aware of any other apartments that were damaged?
Yeah, so after I got finished talking with Miss Battle, I walked outside where her balcony was at and just cased the area, and that's when I seen several other shell casings outside of apartment 1120.
Now, is apartment 1120, is that right next door to Miss Battle's apartment?
Yes.
Now, once after you looked through Miss Battles and saw these additional shell casings, was the lighting better or worse in terms of natural sunlight by that time?
Still about the same at that time.
And so when you first came on scene, it was dark out.
Mhm.
And did you notice the shell casings as the lighting got better?
So as I waited for the ID set to come out, take pictures of the damages, by that time it became daylight. So that's when I noticed several more shell cases in the middle of the street.
Now, would you have been the officer who radioed for ID to come out to 1903 Drew Drive?
Yes, sir.
And did a crime scene tech arrive?
Yes.
Now, after realizing this additional damage, was anyone in apartment 1120?
Initially, I didn't know. So we did try to do a knock and talk, make sure nobody wasn't injured inside the home or possibly deceased. So I was able to get the maintenance man of the complex to let me in for me to do a welfare check of the home. After I did the welfare check, I realized no one was in the home, so we secured the door and exited.
Now, I want to talk to you about what you saw inside apartment 1120. So I'm publishing 13 Lima Lima. Is this the inside of the outside of apartment 1120 next door to Miss Battles?
Yes.
Now, Officer Hill, was there also, or can you describe for the jury what I'm going to publish 15 Lima Lima? Is this the outside of apartment 1120?
Yes.
And what type of damage was in that apartment?
This apartment had a lot more damage to the glass, the windows. You can tell that more bullets were hit this home compared to Miss Battles.
I'm showing you 16 Lima Lima, and I'm going to turn to 17 Lima Lima. What is that at the base of the door outside apartment 1120 on the ground?
Appears to be a shell casing.
And is there any glass that you see on the ground?
Yes.
Is that from shattered glass from bullets going through that back patio door?
Yes.
And is that a close-up 18 Lima Lima, Officer Hill, of what we were just discussing?
Yes.
Now, is 19 Lima Lima, is this the inside of apartment 1120?
That's correct.
Publishing 20 Lima Lima, was there any damage in the kitchen area of this apartment when you went inside to inspect it?
Yes.
And looking at 21 Lima Lima, what do you see in this photograph inside the kitchen of apartment 1120?
The oven was damaged from the bullets.
Was anyone shot inside apartment 1120 when you were there that night?
No.
And Officer Hill, with 22 Lima Lima, is this a piece of debris inside that apartment?
Yes.
And do you know what type of, either what that is? Does that have any connection with bullet?
Yes.
What is it?
Like fragment from a bullet.
Turning to 23 Lima Lima, inside of this apartment, was there any defects in the walls from inside that apartment?
Yes, sir.
And did you do a similar to how you did in Miss Battle's apartment in terms of try to trace to the best you can where the bullets came from the outside in?
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm showing you is 24 Lima Lima. Do you see a defect in this photograph?
Yes.
Also publishing 25 Lima Lima. Do you see any defects in this photograph?
Yes.
And from your personal review, did you or did you not believe that these defects came from bullets?
Yes.
They did? Also showing you 26 Lima Lima. Do you see any defects here in this laundry room area of the apartment?
Yes.
And can you describe for the jury where it is?
It's right in the kind of middle of the picture, in between the cords, the hole.
27 Lima Lima. Was there any, and I'm going to actually go to a better one of 29 Lima Lima. Do you see any damage to this other window inside like the bedroom area of that apartment?
Yes.
And is where the mouse is the area of the window that has the bullet defect?
Yes, sir.
Is this another angle of that same window in 30 Lima Lima?
Yes.
And do you see, Officer Hill, in 31 Lima Lima, any bullet projectiles or debris in this photograph?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury where that is?
So inside the left shoe.
And is it the all white shoes?
I'm sorry, yes, sir, the all white flat shoe.
And is it towards the toe or the heel of that shoe?
Towards the heel.
I'm going to move. Is that what you were describing, Officer Hill?
Yes.
Now, Officer Hill, once you looked in apartments 1120 and apartments 1122, did you ever go outside into the street area at 1903 Drew Drive?
Yes.
And what did you see outside in the street, outside of those back porches of those apartments?
Several shell casings.
And by several, how many shell casings did you see roughly outside in the street?
I would say over 20 at that time.
Turning or publishing 62 Lima Lima, can you describe for the jury in general what this photograph depicts?
Yeah, so everywhere you see a yellow marking on the ground is where we recovered a shell casing from.
So are all of these yellow placards in the street outside of 1903 Drew Drive indicative of shell casings or projectiles in the street?
Yes.
Publishing 63 Lima Lima, is this another view of those shell casings in the street?
Yes.
Now, Officer Hill, while the crime scene tech was there, there's a number, or how many, well, I'll do this. Do you see that this is placard number 1 and 32 Lima Lima?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to publish 61 Lima Lima. Publishing 60 Lima Lima. And Officer Hill, what is next to the placard in 28 as depicted on 60 Lima Lima next to placard number 28?
Shell casing.
And so was there 28 placards that were crime scene tech put on scene outside of 1903 Drew Drive?
Yes.
And are walking back to Now, while I'm getting that pulled up, I wanted to take a step back. When you were at Club Crucial, do you know what time that fight commenced before you went to Jew Drive?
Do I remember what time the fight started?
Correct.
Oh, we got the call around between maybe 1:30. So it happened before that.
And while you were out on scene, were any suspects identified from Club Crucial that you responded to?
Not for me, no sir.
And if you had to ballpark, how long were you personally, on that scene? Was it 30 minutes? Was it an hour? 2 hours?
But between 20 and 30 minutes.
And were you able to do anything or take any steps to identify who was fighting at Club Crucial?
No.
Were you able to do anything to identify who was shooting?
No.
And that time of night, is Club Crucial crowded or not crowded?
Crowded.
And after there's a shooting, is it easy or difficult to gather information when Club Crucial's crowded and there's a shooting?
No, it's difficult.
Overruled.
You may answer, Officer Hill.
It's difficult at that time.
Why is it difficult? Why is it difficult to gather information in that environment?
Multiple people running, trying to get out the way, trying to get home, get safe. So a lot of times people are not trying to talk to us or answer any questions.
And is the parking lot of Club Crucial in close or not in close proximity to where people would come out if everyone was leaving the establishment?
Yes.
Is it close or
Close.
not close?
No, it's close, yeah.
Did you personally speak to anyone at Club Crucial when you arrived?
No.
How often would you get calls when you've been working in Zone 1 over the past 12 years about shots fired or fights at Club Crucial?
Objection as to relevance.
Your Honor, there's multiple 2517 Donnelly Hollowell, which is the location of Club Crucial. Officer Hill, you may answer. How many times have you responded to shots fired or a fight at 2517 Donnelly Hollowell Club Crucial?
A lot.
And by a lot, is it 50? Is it 100? Is it 1,000?
At that time, maybe a few hundred.
Now, should be coming up momentarily, Officer Hill. So we started with placard 1, and then I showed you placard 28. I'm not going to go through every one, but I wanted to cycle through a couple to talk about with the jury. So, Officer Hill, do you see a shell casing in 33 Lima Lima next to placard number 2?
Yes.
And do you know what type of shell casings were on scene?
Not at that moment I did.
Were you ever able to determine or learn what type of shell casings that they were?
Yes.
What type were they?
They were 9mm shell casings.
Was there any other type of shell casings that you found on scene?
It was, but I don't know. I don't remember what the other
That's all right.
casing was.
going back to placard number 4, which is 35 Lima Lima, where is the shell casing in 35 Lima Lima in relation to that vehicle?
Right underneath the tire.
And so were the shell casings that were in the street, were some underneath vehicles, were they scattered throughout Drew Drive, or were they not?
Yes, they were scattered out throughout the Drew Drive.
Now, when since you've been working in Zone 1, at least in regards to night shift, when you come on at 10 and leave at 6 a.m., when do calls typically tend to die down? What part of the night?
Towards the end, so anytime after 4 on out, it tends to die down.
When's like the most busiest time on shift?
When we first come on, like around 10 and 12.
And when you got to the scene, roughly again, what time was it when you first met Miss Battle?
A little bit after 5.
Was there many people out at that time?
No.
Publishing 36 Lima Lima, is there another shell casing from the scene?
Yes.
I'm going to jump to .43 Lima Lima. In 43 Lima Lima, and while you were walking the scene, were some of the projectiles or defects from bullets close by to one another, or were they not?
Yes.
And is 43 Lima Lima show different projectiles or debris from bullets in close proximity to one another?
Yes.
I'm going to turn back to .62 Lima Lima. Using .62 Lima Lima, what was the proximity of the vehicles to where the shell casings were found on scene?
They were pretty close.
And how close were these shell casings to the apartment, specifically 1120 and 1122 that you responded to that night?
So apartment 1120, 1122 would be right on the other side of those black rails in the bushes.
On the right side of the
I'm
photograph?
sorry, yeah, to the right side of the photo.
Like this, is this the black rail that you're describing?
Yes.
So if you were to walk, you see where my cursor is?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to walk from this part of Drew Drive and walk all the way towards the camera angle and keep walking, would these placards from the debris or projectiles, where would they be in relation to both those apartments? Were they concentrated or not concentrated in a specific
Yes.
area?
They were concentrated in that particular area.
Now, did you ever look or try to find any surveillance videos at this apartment complex?
We did canvas for surveillance footage, but we were able to locate any at that time.
Were you able to ever find or locate any eyewitnesses when you were on scene?
No.
Now, did you ever come to learn who lived in apartment 1120 next to Miss Battles?
Yes.
Who was that?
I'm going to object to hearsay.
What's your response?
I'll ask a couple foundational questions before, Your Honor. Officer Hill, when you responded to this scene, or do you write reports in relation to the investigations that you work?
Yes.
Do you include information about apartments you respond to or victims in the cases?
Yes.
Why is that? Why do you include that information?
Just for future references, we list any owners or tenants that apartments were damaged or could have been damaged in the reports for further investigations.
And without stating anything yet, how was it that you were able to come to learn who resided in apartment 1120?
So in the apartment complex is 2 other officers, 8 Atlanta police officers that live in the complex. They had a layout of the tenants that lived in the property, and they were able to give me the name of the tenant.
So they had a layout of the residents of all the apartments at that location?
Yes, sir.
And using that, were you able to determine who was listed as living in that apartment?
Yes.
Your Honor, may he be permitted to answer?
I'm going to object based on hearsay and confrontation.
And, Your Honor, the effect on Officer Hill's investigation before leaving the scene?
Sustained.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Officer Hill, after crime scene came, what did you all do with the shell casings that we've walked through here today? Did you leave them in the street? Did you take them somewhere? What did y'all do with them?
No, we collected them and turned them in as evidence.
And in the shell casings that were in the street, who was it that actually took those and transported them?
Myself.
And where did you take them?
So our property building, and that's where we take all evidence and properties.
Now, did you ever, after responding to this scene, what would have happened was there ever other investigators or APD personnel who would have worked this case after your involvement?
Yes. As soon as I do my initial report, it'll get assigned to an investigator, and they'll take over the case from there.
So, and do those investigators conduct follow-up in cases to gather more information after you leave the scene?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when you were working the night shift in Beat 10, Zone 1, how would you respond to multiple calls within a night?
Yes.
And after you respond and gather initial information, do you have to respond to other calls that come in?
Yes.
Did the owner of that home ever come in to report those shots and damage sustained at apartment 1120?
Not that night. Not to me. No.
One brief moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, no further questions for Officer Hill at this time.
All right. Do any of the defense counsel have questions for this witness?
And I thank you. On behalf of Mr. Williams, we have no questions.
Okay.
Nothing on behalf of Mr. Stillwell.
Anyone else? No questions. All right. Officer, thank you for your time. You're excused.
Thank you.
We ready for the next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls senior analyst Courtney Daniels to the stand.
All right.
Please raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you give today the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Have a seat. State spell your first and last name for the court. Slide into the mic, please.
Courtney Daniels, Daniels.
And good afternoon, Ms. Daniels. Where do you work?
Verizon Wireless,
And how long have you been with Verizon Wireless?
10 years.
And if you could tell the jury briefly about your job duties and responsibilities.
I'm a custodian of records, so I handle testifying in criminal as well as civil cases. We also handle small claims, mediations, arbitrations, and other executive complaints that come in our office.
And you said that you're the custodian of records. What type of documents would be within your purview that you testify to?
So we testify to subscriber information, call details, text message details, text message content, any internet records that are available.
Okay. So first starting with call detail records, if you can tell the jury when you, the call detail records that are with Verizon Wireless, generally what time zone are those call detail records kept in?
Call detail records are based on where the user is located, so it's based on that time zone.
Okay. So for example, if you have call detail records for a phone based out of Georgia, would that be an Eastern time zone?
Yes.
Right. And you also talked about you keep records with text messaging content.
Yes.
What time zone are those text messages usually kept in?
So text messages are, the time zone is based on the switch where these, which is the brain of the network, where it's located. So that's how we tell what the time zone is for the text message.
And the documents that you talked about that you may testify to, are those documents kept in the regular course of Verizon business?
Yes.
And is the information contained within those records made at or near the time in which the calls or texts are made?
Yes.
Specifically, we talked about subscriber information. Is that document kept within the regular course of Verizon business?
Yes.
And we talked about the call detail records, same question, kept in the regular and ordinary course of Verizon business?
Yes.
And then text message content, are those kept in the regular and ordinary course of Verizon business?
Yes.
With the call detail records, do you also provide cell site information?
When requested, yes.
Okay. And what is cell site information?
Cell site information tells us what towers were involved and the locations of those cell towers.
Now, with Verizon Wireless, do you have prepaid and postpaid accounts?
Yes.
If you could tell the jury what's a prepaid account versus a postpaid account.
So a prepaid account is where you subscribe for service. You don't have to provide any verification information such as social security numbers. You just provide a name that you like on the account, your address, and then we provide you a phone number that you pay for monthly before you use the service. Well, postpaid, you have a monthly bill. You have to provide your social security number, identification, the address that will be on the account, and you're billed monthly. So you receive a bill every month. You don't receive a bill prepaid. If you don't pay, you don't continue the service. Postpaid, you'll receive a monthly bill and continue that service until you tell us that you do not want it any longer.
And you said with prepaid account, you can come up with any name that you want.
Yeah, it could be anything that you'd like it to be listed as.
So someone can call it Mickey Mouse and they'll get the phone.
That's fine. Yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention to the reason for your testimony here. Did Verizon Wireless received a subpoena from both the Atlanta Police Department and the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may.
I'm going to show defense what has been marked as State's Exhibit 464 Yankee and 464 Yankee Alpha and Delta.
And as he does a slow zoom here, it looks like we are taking a break. So instead of putting you through the agony of having to watch a stream with a break in it, we're going to break and discontinue this stream for a new one. Hope everybody is having a good day. Catch you later.